What if I told you that behind old Hollywood's dazzling smiles and flawless red carpets hid a nightmare no one dared speak of? The Golden Age wasn't just about glamour, it was a carefully crafted illusion. Behind closed doors, some of cinema's biggest legends were drowning in silence. Secrets so dark, the studios buried them. Pain was so deep, even fame couldn't heal it. These aren't just stories, these are the hidden tragedies of the icons you thought you knew. Today, we're uncovering the hidden truth behind 20 old Hollywood stars who fought mental illness in silence. Number 20. Clara Bow. Clara Bow's captivated audiences with her bright eyes and vibrant energy. She defined the flapper era and became known as the It Girl. But her real life was filled with pain. She grew up in terrible poverty in Brooklyn. Her mother suffered from mental illness and once held a knife to Clara's throat. Bow rose to fame quickly, but struggled with severe depression and what doctors later identified as schizophrenia. The pressure of fame only made things worse. The transition to sound films added even more stress. Studio executives found her Brooklyn accent unsuitable for talkies. By age 28, Bow had retired from Hollywood completely. She retreated from public life. She spent years in and out of sanitariums. The public never knew about her struggles. They only remembered her vibrant screen persona. Clara Bow, once the brightest star in Hollywood, lived her final years in seclusion in a small bungalow in Los Angeles. Number 19. Frances Farmer. Frances Farmer showed incredible promise as an actress. Her talent and beauty made her stand out in Hollywood. But she also had strong opinions and refused to play by the studio's rules. Her behavior became increasingly erratic. The industry labeled her difficult and temperamental. What people didn't understand was that Farmer struggled with what doctors called paranoid schizophrenia. Her mental health declined rapidly. In 1943, she was institutionalized against her will. Farmer spent years in horrible conditions at Western State Hospital in Washington. The treatments she received were brutal. She underwent insulin shock therapy and possibly a lobotomy. Her story became one of Hollywood's most tragic cautionary tales. When she finally returned to the world, she was a shell of her former self. Her promising career had been destroyed. Frances Farmer's story shows how cruelly the industry treated those with mental illness. Number 18. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe remains one of Hollywood's most iconic stars. Her beauty, charm, and vulnerability made her famous worldwide. But behind her dazzling smile was a woman fighting serious depression and anxiety. Monroe spent her childhood bouncing between foster homes and orphanages. She never knew stability or security. As she rose to fame, these childhood wounds continued to haunt her. The pressure to maintain her image as a sex symbol only added to her struggles. The studios knew about her fragility but did little to help. Instead, they pushed her to keep working. They gave her pills to sleep and pills to wake up. Monroe's dependence on prescription medications grew worse over time. Her final years were marked by isolation and increasing mental distress. Her death at age 36 shocked the world. While officially ruled a probable suicide from a drug overdose, many questions remain. What's clear is that Monroe's inner pain was hidden from the public, who only saw her radiant smile on screen. Number 17. Judy Garland. Judy Garland captured hearts as Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Her beautiful voice and emotional performances made her one of MGM's biggest stars. But Garland's life was controlled entirely by the studio from a young age. MGM put Garland on a strict diet. They gave her amphetamines to suppress her appetite and barbiturates to help her sleep. This cycle started when she was just a teenager. Studio executives even had her nose altered and her teeth capped to change her appearance. These pressures led to severe anxiety, depression, and addiction. Garland attempted suicide multiple times. Her struggles with mental health affected her ability to work. She was fired from several films for being unreliable. Despite her personal turmoil, Garland continued to deliver incredible performances. She hid her pain from audiences. The studio system that made her a star also destroyed her mental health. Judy Garland died at 47 from an accidental overdose. Her bright talent was extinguished far too soon. Number 16. Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh lit up the screen with her role as Scarlett O'Hara, but off-camera she battled bipolar disorder in silence. Her mood swings were intense, manic highs followed by crushing lows. Hollywood kept her illness hidden even as it destroyed her marriage and career. Electroshock treatments were kept secret. Despite the pain, she kept acting. But behind the beauty was a woman slowly breaking down. She died at 53, and her struggle was never truly understood. Number 15. Montgomery Clift. Montgomery Clift was celebrated for his sensitive performances and striking good looks. He brought a new, vulnerable style of acting to Hollywood. But in 1956, a car accident changed everything. Clift crashed into a telephone pole, leaving a party at Elizabeth Taylor's house. The accident severely damaged his face. It required extensive reconstructive surgery. The physical pain led to increased dependence on alcohol and painkillers. But Clift had struggled with depression even before the accident. His inner turmoil grew worse after his physical transformation. He became increasingly isolated. The handsome star who once rivaled Marlon Brando now avoided cameras. He worked less frequently. Studio executives considered him unreliable and difficult. Clift died at 45 from a heart attack. His final years were marked by declining health and increasing mental distress. His legacy as an actor remains powerful, but few knew of his personal struggles during his lifetime. Number 14. Marlon Brando. Marlon Brando changed acting forever, but his off-screen life was full of torment. Behind the legend was a man haunted by a painful childhood, depression, and personal tragedy. He isolated himself from the world, retreating to his island in Tahiti. His daughter's suicide and his son's criminal trial only deepened the darkness. On set, he was called eccentric, even arrogant. But was it really ego or emotional collapse? Brando's mind was a battlefield hidden beneath his brilliance. Number 13. Patty Duke. Patty Duke became famous as a child star. She won an Academy Award at just 16 for her role in The Miracle Worker. But behind her success was a deeply troubled life. Duke was controlled by managers John and Ethel Ross. They isolated her from her family. They controlled her money and dictated every aspect of her life. They also gave her alcohol and prescription drugs from an early age. Duke struggled with extreme mood swings that weren't diagnosed until she was an adult. She had bipolar disorder. Her behavior was often erratic. She experienced periods of mania followed by crushing depression. She attempted suicide several times before getting proper treatment. Number 12. Gene Tierney. Gene Tierney was known for her exceptional beauty and performances in films like Laura. Her perfect features masked a life filled with tragedy and depression. While pregnant with her first child, Tierney contracted rubella after exposure to a fan at a public appearance. This caused her daughter to be born with severe disabilities. This tragedy deeply affected Tierney's mental health. She suffered nervous breakdowns and was hospitalized multiple times for depression. She received electroconvulsive therapy at a time when the treatment was much harsher than today. Tierney's career suffered during these periods of illness. The public had no idea about her struggles. They saw only her flawless face on screen. Tierney eventually stepped back from Hollywood. She focused on her health and family. Her battle with depression continued throughout her life. Number 11. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth was a sex symbol on screen, but off-screen her life was full of loneliness and heartbreak. 5 failed marriages, battles with alcohol, and undiagnosed Alzheimer's disease all took a toll. People whispered about her erratic behavior, assuming it was booze. In truth, she was slipping away mentally, slowly and tragically. Hollywood adored her beauty, but turned its back when her mind began to fail. Did anyone truly see the woman behind the legend? Number 10. Dorothy Dandridge. Dorothy Dandridge shattered barriers, but Hollywood never gave her the roles or respect she deserved. After her Oscar nod, opportunities dried up. Racism, broken relationships, and financial ruin followed. She turned to alcohol and antidepressants just to get by. At 42, she was found dead, an overdose. Some say accident, others suspect suicide. Either way, her brilliance was dimmed too soon. How many more black stars suffered in silence just like her? Number 9. Peter Sellers. Peter Sellers made the world laugh, but inside he was falling apart. His brilliance came with chaos. He battled depression, wild mood swings, and possible undiagnosed bipolar disorder. One minute, he was charming. The next, he was gone, literally vanishing from film sets. His personal life was a storm of broken marriages and erratic behavior. Sellers once admitted, "I'm actually quite mad." His comedy was legendary, but it hid a mind in turmoil. Number 8. Jean Seberg. Jean Seberg became an international star with her role in the French New Wave film Breathless. Her short haircut and natural acting style influenced fashion and cinema, but Seberg's support of civil rights causes made her a target of FBI harassment. FBI Director J. Edgar Hoover ordered surveillance of Seberg. Agents spread false stories about her in the press. They claimed the father of her baby was a Black Panther member, not her husband. The stress caused Seberg to give birth prematurely. The baby died 2 days later. This trauma worsened Seberg's existing mental health issues. She became paranoid and depressed. She attempted suicide several times. On August 30th, 1979, she was found dead in her car from an overdose of barbiturates. Seberg's story shows how external persecution can destroy someone already struggling with mental fragility. The FBI's campaign against her only came to light years after her death. Number 7. Charles Boyer. Charles Boyer brought European sophistication to Hollywood. His French accent and romantic roles made him a leading man for decades. Boyer appeared alongside stars like Ingrid Bergman and Marlene Dietrich. Despite his success, Boyer struggled with depression throughout his life. These struggles worsened after the death of his only son to suicide in 1965. When his wife of 44 years died of cancer in 1978, Boyer's depression became unbearable. 2 days after his wife's death, Boyer took his own life with an overdose of sleeping pills. He was 78 years old. His suicide note reportedly said he could not go on without his beloved wife. Boyer's tragic end came as a shock to fans who knew him only as a sophisticated romantic lead. His inner pain remained largely private until his final act. Number 6. Lupe Velez. Lupe Velez was fiery, bold, and unforgettable. Known as the Mexican Spitfire, she lit up the screen and the tabloids. But behind the laughter and headlines was a woman overwhelmed by emotions. Heartbreak, shame, and societal judgment weighed heavily on her. Pregnant and abandoned, she couldn't face becoming a single mother in a cruelly judgmental world. At just 36, she took her own life. Her final act, meant to be glamorous, ended in tragedy. What drove her from stardom into despair? Number 5. Gail Russell. Gail Russell had a natural beauty that made her perfect for the camera. Paramount Studios saw her potential immediately. But Russell suffered from extreme shyness and anxiety. Being in front of cameras terrified her. The studio prescribed alcohol to calm her nerves. This terrible advice led to alcoholism that would destroy her career and health. Russell's drinking worsened over time. Her once promising career collapsed as she became increasingly unreliable. After a series of drunk driving incidents and public embarrassments, the studio dropped her. Without support for her underlying anxiety and growing addiction, Russell's condition deteriorated further. She died alone at age 36 from alcohol-related causes. Her apartment contained numerous empty bottles and a studio portrait from her glory days. Russell's story shows how the studio system could exploit vulnerable people without providing proper support. Number 4. Robert Walker. Robert Walker gave one of Hollywood's creepiest performances in Strangers on a Train, but his real-life demons were just as intense. His heartbreak over losing his wife, Jennifer Jones, broke something inside him. Alcohol and emotional instability followed. Electroshock therapy seemed to help, but it was a fragile piece. At 32, he died from a reaction to medication meant to calm his mind. His talent was enormous, his pain even more so. How did a promising actor fall so quickly? Number 3. Brian Donlevy. Brian Donlevy played tough guys and villains in countless films. His stern face and commanding presence made him perfect for these roles. But off-screen, Donlevy battled personal demons. He struggled with depression and alcoholism throughout his career. The drinking culture of old Hollywood made it easy to hide his dependency. Many of his colleagues also drank heavily. Donlevy's depression was rarely discussed publicly. In his era, men especially were expected to handle their problems privately. Seeking help for mental health issues was seen as a weakness. His career declined in the 1950s as television began replacing B-movies. This professional setback worsened his existing mental health challenges. Donlevy continued working in smaller roles until his death from cancer in 1972. Number 2. Inga Stevens. Inga Stevens was the golden girl of 1960s Hollywood. Beautiful, poised, and secretly broken. Behind the glowing image was a deep loneliness. Her secret interracial marriage, hidden from the world, added to her isolation. She attempted suicide several times before the final successful one. At 35, she was found lifeless in her kitchen. The news stunned fans. How could someone so radiant be so desperately sad? The answer reveals how much pain fame can hide behind a perfect smile. Number 1. Carol Landis. Carol Landis worked her way up from bit parts to starring roles in the 1940s. She became known for her performances in comedies and musicals. She was also famous for her tireless work entertaining troops during World War II. Behind her cheerful public persona, Landis battled depression. A series of failed marriages and relationships deepened her unhappiness. When her affair with married actor Rex Harrison ended, Landis fell into despair. On July 5, 1948, Landis wrote a note, took an overdose of sleeping pills, and ended her life. She was found by Rex Harrison, who called his lawyer before calling the police. The scandal was quickly hushed up to protect Harrison's career. Landis was just 29 when she died. Her bright smile in countless publicity photos gave no hint of her inner struggles. Like many stars of her era, she suffered in silence while maintaining a perfect public image. They were stars in the spotlight and prisoners in the shadows. The world adored them, but never truly saw them. Now that the truth is out, the question is, how many more stories like these are still buried? If these stories moved you, don't let them fade away again. Hit that like button, share this video with someone who still believes Hollywood was all glamour, and subscribe for more untold truths that were never meant to be uncovered. Because this isn't just entertainment, it's history they tried to hide, and we're here to make sure it's never forgotten.